Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate. Science fiction on a screen so bright. Old classics and the new delights. The unapologetic geek will lead the way, with facts and fun to fill your day. Discussing every detail, every frame, from the eerie to the loud and the zany. Gig along with all that's great. Those Sunday vibes you can't debate. Tug along with the Sunday crew. Geeking out is what we do. Giggle on, it's gonna be great. Don't be late, let's celebrate.
Hello and welcome to the Tug Chat. We are going to be continuing last week's discussion of vampire movies for the spooky season. Unfortunately, Sarah will not be joining us today, but I would like to say hi to Danny. Greetings. And also channel member Indy Spoats.
Indeed.
The topic has risen again.
Indeed.
I guess Sarah will be joining us.
Hey, Sarah.
Hey,
I
Sarah.
hope you're feeling better, kid.
Yeah. Anyway, if I'm glad people actually showed up, because there was like a little snafu with the scheduling, and it looked like it was gonna schedule not drop it for another 2 hours. I don't know how that happened. I must have pushed a button wrong or something, but people are still here, so that's good. Hello, Wim van der Straten. Okay. Hello, Sarah, and see you next week.
Hey.
Okay. And with that, I think we're just going to go ahead and get started. And since I got an extra turn last time and nobody else but Sarah did, I'm going to go ahead and give it to Harold.
Okay. I
wasn't ready.
I'm usually not the first one, so I was like, okay, I can still do a little bit of like this,
switch it
like
up,
the setup
man.
stuff. That's all right. That's all right. That's great. So I'm gonna actually start with one that I think is really, really emotionally powerful. And again, like I had brought up about how vampires can be a tool in which to really talk about and connect with those parts of humanity that are a little bit ugly and that we don't like to talk about. And I'm going to go with Byzantine or Byzantium. That one is an incredibly powerful movie. And for anyone that watches it, like, trigger warning, there is definitely, discussions about SA and some of the hardships that women had to go through like hundreds of years ago, right? And, we think about, okay, well, yeah, you'd have to live off of feeding off of like humans and things like that, and that would be like killing people, and that would be like emotionally challenging, especially since most of us have empathy. But it really got me thinking about, with so many people that have PTSD, like so many people that have early childhood crisis. And that's like, I just got done with a conference, and that's a really big thing that we're talking about in mental health, is making sure that along with screening for depression and anxiety is also screening for early childhood catastrophic events and things like that. Yeah. Yes. And it to sit there and be immortal and to have to like live through this, and you have what happened to ladies first? Oh yeah, right. No. Jack is stealing. Jack is stealing the door. Dang it. But no, like the re-traumatization, reprocessing, the re-traumatization compulsion, like these kind of things that play out as human beings are going to play out like if you're a vampire, and to have to do that for like eternity, especially because now you're a vampire, you can't get treatment, you can't get help, you can't get therapy, and also you're probably a person that's incredibly old, so you're not going to go get therapy because it's new. It's, as we talked about, like it that really brought in this like deeper like emotion to me with this movie. It's a phenomenal movie, and it's also about like bringing those that we love with us, and it kind of talks about that. Yeah, based on the play. Yeah. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. And I saw like some people had brought it up, and it's like one of the it's right after What We Do in the Shadows on my list. So that's why I didn't really comment too much of it in the chat, because I was like, yes, I'm getting to it. So a lot of people apparently like it.
Yeah, if there's a movie that I ignore in the chat that people are talking about, it's usually because it's on my list and I want to talk about it.
Yep. Yeah. So
hello, Michael DeCosimo. Always good to see you. I've actually never seen Byzantium. I know about it. It's a Neil Jordan vampire movie, and probably not the only one we're going to talk about today. But like, I've never actually seen it.
Yeah, I haven't either, but it sounds fascinating.
I haven't seen it either, but it looks like a good movie.
Oh, it's excellent. And again, like the mom is well, a little bit about it. So vampirism is a boys' club, as old things were, right? And the mom is a vampire, and she became a vampire in ways that weren't appreciated. And so like the female vampire wasn't, like, at least in this grouping, wasn't supposed to happen. And then the ways that she has to make ends meet and how she got into it, it's really, really, really fascinating. I think it's free on Pluto TV. And so
nice.
Yeah, so definitely like this spooky season, definitely check it out, because it's a great vampire movie, but it's also one that gets you kind of thinking. Yeah, it's free on Plex, it's free on Pluto TV, and so you can definitely watch it for free, and it's really good. But it's also one there's a trigger warning, and it's just a really, really good story, and it's one that'll get you thinking.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I've been meaning to watch it, but it's just one of those movies that keeps slipping through my cracks. So
there's lots and lots of movies out there.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Yes, there are a lot of movies.
And every subject.
So
the only person who's actually seen them all is Indy. So,
right?
Or, as I refer to him, the human fact checker.
Yes, he is.
On my channel, the decision of the judges is always final in my trivia contests, provided it's okay with Indy.
Yeah, Indy is the judges panel.
Yes.
Right.
We love you, Indy.
We do, absolutely. Couldn't have a good chat without you.
Everyone knows.
Yes, Lance, the Count. I'm pretty sure Tracy mentioned the Count last week.
Yes. My heart goes out to the Muppets.
We went to the Count once, twice, 3 times. Sorry.
Thrash, you're real good at that.
Thank you.
Very good.
Like I said, Indy has.
You are
actually seen the movie.
once, twice, 3 times a vampire. Sorry, I had to.
It worked. That worked.
Okay. Well, since none of us have seen it except Harold, I guess we don't have a whole lot to talk about.
That's all right.
So we'll move on to Tracy. What have you got for us today?
I like Dracula's Daughter from like the 30s.
That was on my list.
Ooh.
Yes, excellent.
Yeah, that was a great movie.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that one quite well. I saw it on big screen at a second run house. It was awesome. It was
We're
really
starting
good.
with 2 female vampire movies. This is great.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm trying to find a picture first, and then I will talk about it.
No.
You can't photograph a vampire.
Yeah.
And I will say for people that that it is on Peacock because it's part of the Universal like movies group or whatever, and so you'll be able to if you have Peacock, you'll be able to watch it there.
I
You know,
would
you
say
go-
you can watch my video on it, but you really can't unless you're a channel member because Universal, they hate me.
You're on their list.
Yeah,
Oh,
apparently.
gosh.
They
You know
keep
what they
going
call
through
the-
my channel and just like finding anything that is Universal and flagging it. And it's starting to really annoy the crap out of me.
You are universally hated.
Yes.
Ah! Ba-dum-bum.
Oh, do you know what they call a female peacock?
A peahen.
What?
Bingo. Yes, a peahen.
Okay.
Ah, there we go.
Didn't know that.
But yeah, what is that actress's name?
Oh, I forgot.
Scarlett
She's-
Johansson.
Everything
Always
Scarlett
Scarlett
Johansson.
Johansson.
Who played in San Francisco? Scarlett Johansson.
She almost looks a little bit like Carrie Fisher from Star Wars.
Yeah,
Yes.
a little bit.
A
Yeah.
little bit.
Yes.
Gloria
Like a
Holden,
little bit like the nose area, like
Yeah, she does.
the titular daughter is Gloria Holden. She makes this movie. She is so good as a vampire, which is ironic because she actually hated this movie. She hated being in this movie. She never wanted to talk about this movie. She thought it was just trash, like, you know, useless Hollywood horror movie that was beneath her. You know, so like she never liked this movie until much later in her life, when she was, you know, like in her 50s and 60s. She finally started to embrace it, but for most of her life she hated this movie, which is sad because she is fantastic in it. She is she is a really, really good vampire on the same level as Bela, in my opinion. I know that's a controversial take, but I like it. And the movie, for a movie that was made in the 30s, it has some very surprising lesbian overtones that are hard to miss.
It was pre-Hays Code, wasn't it? Was
Yep.
it right?
Yeah,
before
I think it was right before
Yeah.
the Hays Code enforcement really started kicking off. Yeah.
I think Hays Code ran from like 33 to 68. So it's a wonder
34.
how. Oh, 34 to 68. Yeah.
Well, the Hays
I
Code
knew
itself
something
was,
like
it
that.
started in like 32, but it wasn't really enforced until about 34, 35.
And you know, that's funny because they got away with making The Graduate. And that was way before the Hays Code ended.
Yeah, towards the end, people kind of ignored it.
Yeah.
Sue me.
I was just saying it's kind of interesting.
Exactly.
And yeah, Vim, you're right. The first lesbian vampire movie, which is also kind of interesting because before Dracula, the novel, there was Carmilla, which is also seen as a work of lesbian fiction, and it's about vampires. And Dracula's Daughter, it's not the same story, but it does take some cues from Carmilla, which is interesting. I would talk about the movie version of Carmilla, except it's really, really boring. It's not that good a movie. According to Indy, it came out in 36, which was during the Hays Code. Somehow it got away with it.
Oh, it really? Oh,
Yeah,
thank
that
you,
surprises me
Eduardo.
too.
Yeah, because it really had teeth by then, pun intended.
Right. And yeah, he says the Hays Code started somewhere around 1930. And yeah, like I said, they didn't really enforce it for a few years. It was just kind of in the background. It was something that they tried to get started, and Hollywood was like, nah, until they kind of had to. Because then, you know, Congress was starting to threaten the industry and blah, 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 blah.
Well, Hollywood had been pushing the envelope, and it's always that they go one step too far.
Yeah.
It's kind of what happened with comic books. There was that infamous cover with the guy holding a handful of eyeballs. And
Oh,
they went,
yeah.
Okay, that's it. If you guys can't play nice, and the comic book code was
Oh.
like it came down like the wrath of God. You know, it's like you can't say the word horror in the title. Really? but again, they were the ones who brought it upon themselves.
No, I mean, like, I think self-policing is better than legislation. So, not to get political, I know I'm not Harold, but you know,
They also they didn't have a rating system at the time.
no, not at all.
So
The rating system came later.
Exactly. You'd think they would have started with that because it's like, no, this movie's for adults and this movie isn't for adults or for anyone. Like White Zombie. I still think White Zombie is inappropriate for children.
The band too.
It's a great movie though. But,
Okay, so I guess that means it is. Unless anybody else has anything to say about Dracula's Daughter.
I just
no,
like
fantastic
that
movie.
It is
I haven't
great.
seen it, so
Yeah, if you watch the 1931 Dracula, you should then watch Dracula's Daughter after it. Like they go really well together. And Bela is kind of in Dracula's Daughter. They've got like this wax figure of him in a coffin. You see him for like 5 seconds.
so they're related films then, in a way. Sort
Yeah.
okay.
I mean, they're
No
part of the
pun.
whole Dracula cycle from the original classic monsters. They're not true sequels. Like they don't really share a continuity completely. Like they're just kind of loose sequels, if that makes any sense. The only one that I really feel stays the same is the Wolfman. And that's mostly because it's always Lon Chaney and it's always the same story. Like,
Lawrence Talbot.
spoiler alert, the Wolfman dies at the end of the Wolfman. So every time he comes back, he's being resurrected and he's dealing with the fact that he's still alive and he doesn't want to be, which I always thought was a really interesting dynamic. Anyway, that's neither here nor there.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, no, I think that's a really interesting part because werewolves aren't known for resurrection, right? But, you know, like the vampire, you know, something like a vampire or what have you, like has a tendency to find ways to escape, tend to be a little bit like harder to kill because of all of the mystique around them and blah, blah, blah. But like, and so the fact that a werewolf comes back, but a vampire doesn't, is interesting, but I also get it because it's outside of like the mythos or whatever. But
Yeah, I'm
Well,
pretty sure
I guess
like,
they didn't use
he
the
got
silver
brought back
bullet
by
for the-
Dr. Frankenstein and stuff like that. Like it was always very silly how they resurrected him, but it worked for the character because the character stayed the same, stayed true to the story.
Yeah, Creighton Hull Jr. He really brought a dynamic to the Wolfman. I mean, he really made it a three-dimensional character, possibly as much, if not more, than all the other Universal monsters. And I was very impressed with his take. There's like one scene I can't even remember which werewolf movie it was in, but Lon Chaney Jr. It was they're at a cafe and a gypsy is singing to him about how I hope you live forever, and he goes basket case.
Yeah,
Absolutely basket case. And
I'm trying not to do that.
literally. It's that whole dynamic of, we see it again later on, years later in Highlander. People think living forever would be a gift, and no, it's generally speaking a nightmare. And I think Lon Chaney Jr. Encapsulated that. He is the sort of, poster child for not living forever.
well, and again, it goes to these are all things that go to the regardless of how much faith one person might have, their fear of death is always immense, right? And sorry, I'm going to
Getting
be
played off
running
again there, Scott.
I know. No, like
time.
yeah.
It
Usually,
breaks my heart when it does that. It really
I know.
does. I feel
All right, get off the stage.
I know. Usually, I have a week to go to church, but usually I have a week to go to church. Now we're doing it every week. I got to just turn off that alarm. But no, like, no, regardless of how much faith you have, there's always this, like, I think our fear of death plays into the fact that regardless of your faith, you really don't know. And vampirism and these undead kind of play into that, this desire for immortality, right? And this desire to live forever, yet because of the fear of death and not processing our own grief and our own feelings of death, right? And if you're immortal, like you said, Thrash, if you're immortal, like
Yes.
he just had to take a drink every time his phone rings. No, it's just no. It's not. It's not rings. My rings
alarm.
are off. It's just it's an alarm for me to go to church and
Tisk tisk.
But now
yeah.
we are his church.
Yeah. Welcome to the church, Scott.
yeah.
That's really good. When I go into church is when the alarms go off.
Yeah.
I usually just feel a burning sensation and then I have to leave. I don't know why. It just kind of happens. But
And after
Yeah,
Day of
I just-
Atonement.
But like if you live, like Thrash was saying, if you live forever, you would be forced to face the grief, forced to face like the thing that we have to. Yeah, exactly. Right. That's it. Like the Queen did have a phenomenal song that spoke on that. Right. And like, we don't like to face death. And if you were immortal, you'd have to do it on the regular because everybody would die, and you would have to either abandon them in their hours of need or face it, right? And so
Or if you're a
everybody
vampire,
you
you can just
ever
kill them
meet-
yourself.
right. But again, in their hour of need, like you're taking, like you're not there for them. You're not emotionally there because you're the one that's robbing them of it. Right. And so like it's a real issue, I think. And it speaks to something for, like, again, it's another thing for us to like work on facing.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean, you're good at those mic drops where none of us have anything to say after you.
I thought we were
You
going on.
encapsulate everything so well
Seems
that
so
all I can do is
interesting.
go,
Yes.
it's like,
That's good stuff, Maynard.
yep, ditto.
Oh crap! Got to twist it back on.
Yeah, you have to chop off their head, right? Or they keep coming back in increasingly ridiculous sequels.
yes.
Yeah, right. There is only one. Wait a minute. Wait a
There
minute.
isn't. There's more.
Wait a minute.
All right, there's
Oh,
more.
and the space one. Oh my god. But yeah, no. I like that. Immortals are the Highlander are kind of also a kind of vampire. Yeah.
No, most vampire stories deal with the price of immortality and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a very common theme.
Finn, I've never thought about that because when they do kill, they get the power of the person,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
And so they are feeding off,
life. Yeah,
right? They are feeding off of the other person. I've never it's a specific type of person, but it's not just everyone. But yeah, no. That's a really good. That's a mic drop moment on that one.
Yeah.
But they have to kill another immortal to feed off the power. So.
Right?
well, yeah,
right?
in the Highlander, yeah.
Was
There-
that
there-
the
there
price
was a-
of an? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I keep interrupting you, Tracy, and I feel terrible. You first, Tracy.
Oh no, it's the price for immortality. You know.
And there is a strain of vampire that feeds on other vampires. I can't think of the name of it, but I heard about it somewhere, and they have to hunt other vampires because humans don't do it for them. They have to find.
I think his name is Blade, but
That's different.
Give me a second.
It's a potato, tomato.
Yeah, you're absorbing. You're like, they're not doing it through the mouth.
consuming
blood
it,
originally
Yeah, you're
came
consuming
about
it,
that you
you're
were
absorbing it.
their life force.
Right.
That was the whole
And
idea.
again, the
Yeah.
intestines are just epithelium, right? Which is what your skin is. It's epithelium. Different. It's slightly different, obviously, but it's the same basic tissue. So if you absorb it through your skin or you're absorbing it through your intestines, it's still feeding and absorption. The mouth is just merely a tool by which to absorb. But if you I put a patch on, I'm still absorbing it, right? We don't call it necessarily feeding.
Okay. Calm down,
Anyways,
Lovecraft.
Sorry.
Aw.
Calm down, Lovecraft. I will call down the Dark One to end you all.
Don't make me go get my doll.
Sorry.
Or my
I once
statue,
spent the night in
whatever it is.
Lovecraft's attic. You guys know that, right?
Oh no,
Yeah.
I didn't. Yeah.
I was dating this particularly unstable young lady years ago. You might find that hard to believe. And she lived in
Haven't we
Rhode
all
Island.
at some point?
Yeah, we've all had at least one, right?
Tracy, no offense.
No, you're all good. I used to
And,
work with all guys, so don't worry about it.
She's heard it.
According to Indy, by the way. Sorry,
Her,
didn't mean to
her
interrupt.
apartment was in the old H.P. Lovecraft house.
Ah, there we go.
Wow.
Very
Oh,
cool.
Wow.
Krusniks.
Hopefully that problematic cat wasn't there anymore.
Oh, Krusniks.
Krusniks.
Krusnik. The Krusnik. Thank you.
Is that like
Spasibo.
Rusniks?
Yeah, it sounds like some kind of Russian insult.
Exactly. Yeah.
It could be Yiddish.
Rusnik.
Tracy, does that
Yes.
sound Yiddish to you?
Middle of the way.
I don't know. It could be a Krusnik. What do you want from me? Do I look like a Krusnik?
Could be a gross nick.
It could be a
Or a
Krusnik.
nick of the gross.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay, I guess it means it's
That-
Damien's.
Okay.
turn.
All right.
that,
All right.
that derailed the conversation.
So-
Sorry.
So I'm going to go with what a lot of people consider to be one of the greatest vampire movies of all time, and I don't agree. But anyway, The Lost Boys.
It was bound to
yeah.
come up eventually.
Yeah,
Sooner or later.
which is a fun '80s, vampire
yeah.
movie.
Oh,
It's fun. It's it kind of combines multiple themes at once. You got that like young teen adventure movie, with the older teen romance, thing going on, and then you got the single mom angle going, raising two boys, and then vampires. All while moving to a new town. So it's like wrap all your 80s movies together that involve teens of any kind, and there you go. You got this with vampires. So
And the Coreys too. So that
Of course,
culminates.
of course.
Yeah, that culminates
You've got
with your
Corey Feldman,
80s
Corey
movies,
Haim,
right?
Haim or whatever. You got Kiefer Sutherland. You got what's her name, Jamie Gertz, or is it Gertz? Anyway, Alex Winter,
Both of
who
them.
played Bill from Bill and Ted.
Yep, that's it right there.
Who's the first vampire to get killed in a horrific, brown blood squirting manner, which was really interesting to watch. And you got Diane Waste, or is it pronounced West?
Weiss.
Weist.
Or
Weiss.
Beast.
Weiss. And of course, Edward Herman. And you can't forget Tim Capello, who played the beach, concert guy, the
Well, of
muscle
course,
bound,
the most important
Can't
character in
forget
the whole movie. Yeah.
'Cause I gotta believe. Anyway.
What this
Yeah.
movie needs is some guy with a saxophone and no shirt on.
Definitely.
They're like laying out the scenes. What this movie really needs.
Well, it's sure different than the Breakfast Club.
Like what I didn't realize was that Adam Driver's older cousin was in this movie, and so I'm sorry, the guy next to Kiefer Sutherland. Looks
Yeah,
like
he
Adam
does
Driver.
look like him. Yeah, totally. It's the nose.
Kind of does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. I thought you were serious.
No.
And I'm
I just
like,
went and looked at the
Mini
cast. I was like,
Driver?
wait a second.
I mean, it's a classic. It's the movie
Mm.
I grew up with as a vampire movie, and I still quote it occasionally when we get Chinese takeout. And it's worms, Michael. Stuff like that.
How you like those maggots?
Yeah.
You're eating maggots, Michael.
Hey, they better be aged.
Mhm.
No, I hear the dislike like of it. I love it. I still love it. I think it's a really good movie. I think it's a great movie. I think it's I do. I love
No,
it.
it's fun. It's fabulous.
Yeah,
It's a coming of age
it's gonna
story.
be a
Like,
feature.
very-
Absolutely. It's kids coming together, but it also like you've got issues of angsty adolescents that are out of place, right? The social constructs in this movie are phenomenal, right? Because you have dejected teens that don't have a place coming together and following a groomer, getting them into trouble. Right, which especially in it, like us growing up, and probably even more so now that you have like the internet, like that was a real issue of like, you know, even me growing up, there was a person that we knew that got us access to things that we should not have been had access to. That was an adult grooming people, had some issues, and in hindsight probably should have been in prison for a lot of different stuff. But also introduced us to Dr. Demento, and so I can't. He wasn't all bad, but no, like these kinds of concepts and these like things. It's a I can get that like it's a hokey movie, but when you're talking about some of these themes, it's a much deeper movie that talks about like some really serious issues, right? And especially,
let's make one thing clear: almost all the movies we're talking about, all vampire movies, are a little bit hokey. Okay.
Yeah, like the concept. Yeah,
It's
like
a little bit.
It's like watching Walking Dead and then you hear something outside of your door. Zombies are impossible. There is biologically no way for that to actually exist. Same with like vampires. Yeah. So that concept means that it's hokey. Right,
Scott, you just popped my bubble. I
Me
can't
too.
ever forgive you after that.
Yeah, no.
Stop with this disillusionment,
it's
man.
They're
What do we need
medically
this reality
impossible.
for? Come on.
I know, but
Bummer.
I know, right? But that's so that in and of itself makes it hokey, right? So you can't actually get outside of the hokey. But the what makes it brilliant is that they're great like I said, tools to talk about humanity. And this one really does, like, even though, like, if you actually look at it, this one actually does touch on a lot, like, again, single mom, like the kids that have, little guidance, and which to me, especially looking at it now, even more so is an issue. Because parents, even if you have two parents in the home, like we used to say, like you need two parents in the home for kids to grow up well adjusted because you have more oversight. You can have two parents home. Now you need like six parents in the home because all of us are working so much that not even with a two parent home, you're not around the kids enough. And so, like, when you look at this, like, to me, it becomes even more impactful nowadays because of how we've evolved socially.
You're missing the great irony of the very end of the movie. Like, you've got these kids who don't feel like they can relate to adults at all. Like, they feel like they're on their own. And then at the very, very end, the twist ending is that the grandfather knew the whole time.
Yeah.
And was totally on board with, like, whatever. Like,
One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
Yeah.
Bernard Hughes does a great job in that movie.
It's so great.
Yeah. He's just awesome. With all
you never
of the,
know what you can learn from your elders, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely, right?
all of the taxidermy he keeps putting in the kids in Corey's or Sam in the movie in his room. He's like, why does he keep doing this? Waking up in the middle of the night, there's like a badger.
Badger.
One of the things that you learn when you become a grandparent is that people automatically stop listening to you. Because
anyway, so now it's
Oh, that's so rude.
Are you kidding? That was the most perfectly timed.
Right. It was brilliant. It was phenomenal.
If we planned that, we couldn't have done it better.
No.
But that was called the lead-in. It's like so people automatically dismiss you as being out of touch, and the problem is oftentimes the problems that you see the young people going through. It's like, wait, I know this one. You might, and they like, oh yeah, it must have been rough when the Vikings were landing. It's like, no, please. Different times, same dynamic. Listen to me on this one, and that's basically. It's like just because they're hopelessly old and out of touch does not mean they don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And I think, as you say, it was the perfect twist ending to Lost Boys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and again, right, like that, like having grandparents involved in helping out and support, like all of that difference, all that stuff, like and we even talked about it in one of our podcasts, like the importance of like having extended families and you know, and the difference that it makes, right? And so it really, especially like when you're talking about it, like a single parent, like having to support, to help support and take care of it. Like, again, these themes, like as much as we like, what was it? The brain without a body, or what was it? The brain that wouldn't die.
The brain that wouldn't die.
The brain that would not die.
Yeah, the brain that wouldn't die. Thank you. Yeah. So the brain that wouldn't die. Like, as hokey as that movie was, there were some really, really deep points to it, right? So I always like, you know, even the hokey movies, like, look at the message. Right, exactly. Yeah, that's where we got that from, wasn't
That's where
it?
it came from. Yeah.
Yes. The cat. Oh, the cat was so great.
Sorry.
It's funny you mentioned it because both vampire movies and The Brain That Wouldn't Die, one of the underlying themes, if you look at it, is violence against women.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, without question.
Yep.
Okay, on that mic drop, I guess it's your turn, Thrash.
Well, and speaking of women, and especially speaking of lesbian subplots, can you say lesbian on the internet now?
Yeah, sure.
Sure, you can say that. Yeah,
That was rhetorical. But
It's the L.
it was too late anyway. It's far too late.
Can't take it back.
Lesbian subplots in vampire movies. I'm gonna go with The Hunger.
That was a good movie.
I think I've seen that.
That was good.
Yeah, this movie is crazy. Catherine Deneuve as a lead vampire who deals with the problem of watching people die by basically turning her lover into another vampire. The problem is the follow-up vampire doesn't last as long, so she has to repeat the process over and over. And it opens with David Bowie, who gives an actually astonishingly good performance in it as an aging vampire. And it's later picked up by human nails on a blackboard, Susan Sarandon.
She's so miscast in this movie.
She wasn't so miscast. Although I got to tell you, there's a certain scene involving her which,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
when I was a teenage boy, I'm like, I really love this movie.
I can see why.
I know. So the movie had everything. It had a scene involving Catherine Deneuve and Susan Sarandon, and what else do you need? So, and she wasn't talking during that scene, which made it even better. Ooh, I went there. But anyway, yes, take it.
I haven't seen it in a really long time. I remember it being kind of one of those fever dream movies, which you were so good at bringing up. But you're right. David Bowie is really good in it. And I think David Bowie never gets enough credit for his acting skills because he's good in pretty much everything he's been in as an actor. He's not just, weird David Bowie, who we all love. We are all madly in love with David Bowie, of course. But as an actor, he was very, very good. There was that movie where he played Tesla in that Christopher Nolan movie, and he's really good in that. He's excellent in The Man Who Fell to Earth. Check out my video on my channel.
Shameless plug.
Yes, of course.
He was also in a POW kit movie called Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence.
Yes,
that
was good.
He should have gotten an Oscar for it. The dynamic between him and Yuriko Sakamura, and I'm sure I butchered that name, very sorry, but it was just amazing. I made my wife watch that movie, and she actually made it through.
Wow.
And then there was that one movie where he was in with all those Muppets. I can't remember.
That was just weird. I couldn't really I couldn't pay attention to his acting because I was so busy staring at that cod piece.
Yes. They're big on those names for some reason. I don't know why.
He's also my favorite on-screen Andy Warhol. He did it in this obscure movie called Basquiat. He's really good as Andy Warhol.
Oh, yeah. I forgot that one.
Yeah, well, I'm curious. Yeah, because he probably had a relationship with Andy Warhol. So
he probably knew Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Yeah, all those guys
in the biblical sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Fair point. No, like and I forgot that David Bowie was in The Prestige, like as Nikola Tesla. Thank you for bringing that up. But this is I haven't seen it in forever, but it's really really good. And then on top of it, it's free on Sling TV.
Oh, nice.
I wanted to so definitely and it's David Bowie is one of my wife's favorite people like ever, and so we'll probably have to watch that now because of
I just want to say that's
for
awesome,
spooky
Vim. I
season.
did not know that. That's great trivia, and I wish I knew that. That's really cool.
Excellent.
That is good.
I was obsessed with Communion when I was a teenager, so that's cool.
And one other thing, Vim, I'm afraid that 300 has the honor you were discussing before. But
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Obviously.
but maybe made me question a couple of things. But Mary Christmas Lawrence is up there.
But yes, in a lot of vampire movies, and oddly, a lot of Frankenstein movies that I've been covering on my channel, I keep coming across a lot of homoeroticism. It's actually kind of surprising how deep it goes into like classic horror archetypes. It's kind of fascinating. I could do a whole dissertation on the subject.
Well, James Whale. Well, we all know what James.
Well, we know about James Whale, yes.
So how could it not be?
Yeah.
No, like but it also makes sense because if you look at the historic association of homosexuality, it incorrectly was seen as a deviance.
Yeah, they were seen as monsters, and like
exactly, and
classic
so
monsters were all about like sympathizing with the monster. Yeah.
right, and so here you have these things that are doing something evil, blah blah blah, and what have you, but also a vehicle by which of being able to talk about like the things in humanity that we don't readily openly talk about, right? And so again, just being that catalyst. But yeah, there is a sociological tie of defaming homosexuality and putting them in in situations like that to ostracize the community more. And so
yeah, and it makes a lot of sense to me when you're talking about like Dr. Frankenstein, this guy who is exploring taboos behind closed doors against the the wishes of society at large. I can see how that gets to be a little homoerotic, especially when he's building a man,
Right.
Yes.
He's building a very large man.
Which is a trope later with Frankenfurter.
Right, Frankenfurter,
Right.
also making a man.
Rock Horror Picture Show. It's the same thing. He goes, make you a man, huh? Capital idea.
Speaking of Frankenstein, I got this the other day. It's a wait. Let me get closer to that. Ooh, wait.
Oh, it's a
Oh,
Frankenstein
neato.
duck.
Little
That's
Frankenstein
awesome.
duck. Yeah.
Does that glow in the dark?
I don't know. I haven't checked, but it probably
It looks like that glow in
does.
the dark plastic.
Yeah.
It looks like it, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks to my son and the Nile Red YouTube channel, I know exactly what those glow things are made of.
Radium?
It's a strontium, actually, which is also
Oh.
a radioactive material.
I was kidding. Really?
No, really.
Oh,
So don't eat a glow stick, okay? It's bad for you.
That explains a lot. When I was a kid, we cracked a bunch of those things open and covered ourselves with glow stick glowy
It's
stuff.
like it's
Oh,
not
my.
horrible for you. There are way worse things out there for you, but yeah, it's not recommended.
It
Kids
didn't
don't
have
do
a
it at
warning
home.
label on it. We figured it was safe. At least we didn't drink it.
Oh,
Yeah, don't drink it. That's really
Yeah.
bad.
we're not saying try it. Don't
Yeah.
try it. Oh my.
Nice, Danny. Very good.
Isn't that a song by White Zombie?
Yeah, that is. It's a zombie song. Yeah, White Zombie.
Hmm.
It's not about that, but yeah.
Well, he's a bit of a kook.
Yes, yes, he is. We don't have Uncle Joe on the show. He would talk at length about Rob Zombie. He's a big fan.
He's great,
Oh,
but he's
right,
a kook.
right.
Some of the best people around are kooks.
No, and
remember
like if you ever see interviews with Rob Zombie or like anything like that, you see him like in real life. He is the nicest, sweetest guy. He just looks like Rob Zombie. Anyway, we got so sidetracked. I guess it's my turn now.
It's my turn. No, I'm just singing.
I'm actually going to go with a more obscure, very recent movie, actually, that I saw on Netflix.
You're trying to out obscure me, fat shit.
No, well, I mean, it's a recent movie, so yeah. It's called Blood Red Sky. You've got this woman.
To see that.
You got this woman who was bit by a vampire, but she actually managed to get a hold of a drug that like keeps the vampirism at bay. Like it doesn't cure it, but it keeps her from like, presenting as a vampire. And she's on board this airplane that gets hijacked. It's a very silly movie. And of course, like the medicine gets taken away from her and she has to go like completely feral over time. And she uses that to her advantage to take care of the terrorists who have hijacked the plane. But then, she's lost control because she's gone full Nosferatu vampire. And she's also infected a couple of the terrorists who also become vampires. And it's just like chaos in a very confined space. And like I said, it's a hokey plot, but it's actually very well done, and very well filmed. Like way better than I thought it would be. I thought I was in for just like a stupid B movie. It's actually very good. It gets hokey and the ending is stupid, but like I really, really enjoyed it. And I wanted to bring it up as a movie that people should have seen because it's actually pretty cool.
Which direction is the plane flying in?
What?
Which direction is the plane flying?
I
Is it flying
don't.
east or... Well, because if it's flying into the sunrise, she has a limited amount of time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I think that is actually a plot point. Yeah.
That's the first thing that popped into my head is,
Yeah.
Sorry, I mean to derail you, Tug. I should have qualified that with a context.
But yes, it's vampires on a plane, but it's good. It's actually good.
How do we get these stinking vampires off this?
Next we'll have to have werewolves on a plane, and then we'll have to have,
sure.
No, it's actually I haven't seen it, but it's actually 81% on Rotten Tomatoes. So it's actually So it's got a good score. So like when you said hokey, I was like, let me double check because I pulled it up. And I was like, let me double check. And it's 81%. Like IMDb 6.1 out of 10. So a little bit worse rating there, but Rotten Tomatoes has it 81%. So
and Indy, she was coming from Germany going to New York, but the plane does turn halfway through the movie. So,
well, you kind of need to whenever there's like an emergency, and they probably kind of see this as an emergency. I
felt self-conscious because describing the plot, it sounds stupid. It really does, but it's not. It's a very cool movie.
Well, because how many of us heard the title "Snakes on a Plane" and we're like, eye roll, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you're talking about
Sharknado. You're just like, yeah.
Hey, don't pick on that movie.
Sharknado is a comedy. It's meant to be a comedy. It's a spoof. It's supposed to be over the top, and it is wonderful with
it's a couple $100 million franchise. Okay.
Oh yeah. It's exactly what it's meant to be. It's
like interest in that as Cocaine Bear. Let's put it that way.
Like Cocaine Bear and Cocaine Sharks are real things. Like I absolutely, man. Like this is a natural phenomenon. It is a documentary more than it is a movie. So I'm like Cocaine Bear is like, if you're not watching Cocaine Bear, that's like, if it was fictionalized, I could get it. It's based on a true story. Like that's what makes it wonderful. Sharknado is not based on a true story. It is truly exactly what it builds itself up to be, and it's glorious. Meth Gator, come on, like that's It's actually Vim, you're a little bit wrong on that. It would be bath salt skater. And so that's the one difference, right? But it will eat your face.
Just eat your face off. That's it. Yeah, just your face.
Instead of Lady Battery, it's Lady Bath Salts.
But anyway, the thing I really appreciate about this movie, Blood Red Sky, is you're dealing with the main character who is going feral, and she's having to fight that impulse and also like embrace it at the same time. And she's got her son, who you see on screen right there, on the plane, and she's doing this to try to save his life. But at the same time, if she goes full vampire, she's not going to recognize her son as her son, and she might actually do something to her son. So like that dynamic makes the movie really more tense, like character wise, so that like when the actual violence starts happening and there's blood and gore everywhere, like you still feel her struggle, which I think is really interesting. So I'm guessing I'm the only one who's seen this movie.
I have not.
I've wanted to see it.
Other than
I've seen
obviously.
it advertised, I guess, on Netflix or Amazon. Or
yeah, it's Netflix.
It's Netflix.
And
It is.
Yeah, it's one of those didn't get around to it once,
Naturally,
But,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's only been out a couple of years, I think.
What I like about it is that it's a flip of the script a little bit, because a lot of times whenever you're talking about like vampires and family and stuff like that, it's this desire to bring them with us, right? Whereas this one's like, no, I'm wanting to do the opposite of that. So that's even a cool twist on the general concept. So
That actually is one of the great micro plot in The Strain.
Yes.
Where the main character's wife turns, and she wants to turn the son into a vampire so she can keep him, and he wants to keep the son from becoming a vampire for the exact same reason. So
right.
It's just weird. It's the essence of the broken home.
Absolutely, and that's actually very well done in The Strain. It's a really early subplot too. It's like if you watch the show, I think it's first season's material. So yeah.
The amount of research Del Toro did for The Strain was staggering. I mean, his homages and tributes and references. I mean, the man. I mean, it really. I didn't like how the show kind of went off the rails. Like
it does
later
lose
on
itself towards the end, yeah.
But those first couple of seasons were staggering.
No, agreed completely.
Yeah, good stuff.
I've read the books too.
You have?
Larry Hogan
Wow.
does deserve some credit. He's also very good. I mean, like he and Del Toro wrote it together, so it's kind of hard to parse like who did what. But like he also deserves some credit. But Del Toro with the TV show, all the stuff he did for the TV show, absolutely incredible.
he deserves nothing. No, I'm just kidding.
You get nothing.
You get nothing.
Good day, sir.
You're nothing now. Kiss my boots.
Right.
I said good day.
Oh,
Anyway, I guess it's your turn again, Harold.
I'm gonna go with a movie that many people brought up in our chat
Exterminate.
last week.
Exterminate.
Exterminate. Wait.
Sorry, your sound's coming out really weird.
Yeah, that's why I'm going.
Oh, did it?
Exterminate. Oh,
Exterminate. Exterminate.
Sorry. All right. Sorry. I didn't reboot my computer prior to this. I went from my overnight like sleep music stream to straight into this. So sorry.
Thou shalt always reboot prior to live
Yeah,
streaming.
But no, like I'm gonna
Just
go with a
power
movie
through.
that-
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go. Is it still funky?
Well, now it's quiet,
no.
but
But
yeah,
it's
it's
better.
not. But it is
Yeah.
better. It's not making the staticky sound anymore.
Oh, okay.
what?
Well, I'm gonna.
I'm sorry, I
can
can't
turn you
hear
up.
you. Wait.
I can do that from this end. It's fine.
Oh, God.
Keep talking. I got it.
Okay, I'm gonna go with a movie that people talked about last time. Oh yeah, it did drop down. Okay, there we go. I'm gonna go with a movie, another movie people spoke about in the chat, and that is last week. And stop sitting on the mic. No, you don't know what I do with my mic, and you're not gonna know about it because it's wonderful.
You don't want to know what he does with his equipment when nobody's watching.
That's right. But that's the movie I'm
That's what he
gonna
said.
go with this because it's the third one that's on my list, and that's Renfield. It is glorious. It is amazing. It is wonderful. It is humorous. Nicolas Cage is a phenomenal vampire. It is absolutely everything that you desire it to be, and it is a great portrayal of the character of Renfield. And but this time he like it's not accurate to the character, but because the character has no like very little humanity left. But Nicholas Hoult really truly plays like great level of bringing humanity to the character and everything. So. And again, also I love it because it talks about like it's basically a movie about the trauma response of an abusive relationship, right? And the way the brain kind of like that Stockholm syndrome where you value and appreciate your abuser, right? And it's hard to kind of break out of that. The only thing that I hated about the movie is that I'm so tired of Aquafina. I'm just I love that the African American community is calling her out because she made her name by portraying, like putting on basically almost like a personal blackface. Like she didn't like actually put on blackface, but like her personality was trying to mimic black community culture. And then now that she's famous, she's like, oh no, I'm back to being my regular self or regular Asian culture self, whatever, blah blah blah, and have totally left that by the wayside and without
but
ever
now
really
like
acknowledging
she's
her
kind of
apology.
doing the same thing with Asian culture. She's kind of like turned into a Mickey Rooney caricature of herself,
Right? Yes, right. So I'm just like this, like it's like I'm so tired, and like every time she's in a movie now, I'm just like, oh god, man, this. It always brings it, like if I was scoring it and giving it stars, I like 5 stars, I'd be like, okay, just because she's in it now I give it 4, period. Like that's it. I would have given this 5, but because they put her in this, it's a 4.
I mostly agree with you, but
factor.
I did like her in Shang-Chi, but she was kind of toned down in that. Surprising to people who've seen Shang-Chi and haven't seen her in anything else, but yeah, she is actually toned down.
Yeah. But it's still not saying much.
No, she's still not great or anything.
I don't find her there's a lot funnier comedians out there. Like
no, she's funny by being annoying. Like that's
right.
her whole shtick.
And it's like she's not actually a comedian or a comic actress. She's just
she's loud.
And there's so many people that have so much more talent that are being ignored just because she's made a name for herself on social media. So anyways, I apologize.
And also the name,
but that movie is great.
Really stupid.
Yeah. I
didn't even know she was in it, honestly. I've never seen Renfield, but I didn't know she was in it.
You have to watch it this spooky season. It is phenomenal. It is fantastic. It is wonderful. It is.
If only somebody would tell me where I can see it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's on Peacock if you have Peacock.
Oh, I do.
If you have a subscription, it's not free.
Yeah, subscription to Peacock,
it's
yes.
Technically free, yes.
Yes.
Not Renfield.
Yeah.
Just getting pictures of Chris Redfield. That's not the right thing.
Dreamy.
Yeah, I really want to see Renfield.
Daddy.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's not free anywhere yet. So
yeah, no, it really is good. It really, really is good. Oh, you haven't seen it either? No worries.
no, I need to see it. I want to see it.
No, I was saying Thrash hasn't seen it either. Like, because he was going.
He doesn't see new movies.
I don't. I was watching Things to Come this morning.
Yeah, I remember that.
Well, I know, but it's not exactly new.
Yeah. Check out my video on my channel.
I think I've responded on that at least 3 times, actually.
Yeah? So nobody has seen it except for Harold, really?
And the audience.
Oh yeah, in the audience, like the chat last week was talking about Renfield for like half an hour. So
both of them, like mine and Tug's at the same time.
That's when I started talking about how weird it was that the two chats were so in sync with each other.
One of my favorite Renfields is the Tom Waits version from
Oh God.
Bram Stoker's. That was
yeah,
great.
yeah.
He was
point
good.
There.
Academy Award winning.
Master.
Master.
My favorite Renfield is still got to be from Love at First Bite, though.
Oh God.
I always crack me up. He stole the movie.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't for me, you're gonna get the stake right through the heart. I tell you, right through the heart. What are you on, a medal?
Oh my.
I'm too much of a purist. I still like the 1931 original Renfield.
Mm-hmm.
He's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Has there been a bad Renfield? No,
That's a good point. I don't know.
I'm sure there has.
Even the not Redfield from I keep saying Renfield from Nosferatu. Even he's great.
Yeah,
he's just like a crazy old guy. I love it.
Even and the guy that plays he's not really Renfield, but plays a version of it in Vampire in Brooklyn was good.
Oh yeah,
they're all the assistant or the ghoul or whatever they are is always
Day Warrior.
Yeah, they're always the best.
Well, that's the kind of role you want too. It's like it's not the lead role, but it's a role that you have the freedom to basically just make it your own and do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Except in Renfield, where he's obviously the main character, but usually it's a secondary character.
And so Renfield and Igor are both great, like that basic kind of like that concept. But one other thing I wanted to point out, because this is a great picture. Like Nicolas Cage is a little bit of over the top Nicolas Cage in this movie, but it really does. He's done some in the past. Lately, it's been a little bit more off kilter, but he does some good.
Plays Nicolas Cage playing another role.
Yes, every time.
That's Face Off. Nicolas Cage playing Travolta's impression of Nicolas Cage.
There you go.
Right.
And what was his breakthrough role? It was Kiss of the Vampire.
Ooh, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But
I was going with Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah, his over the top acting here actually does work out and play out. Like it really does work. It makes Nicolas Cage doesn't play; he just is.
The rest of the movie plays around him.
That's right.
He is the center pin, and everything revolves. Has anybody seen what is it? The Color Out of Space?
Is that Lovecraftian?
Yeah,
one?
yeah. He does a pretty good job of playing Nicolas Cage, playing a crazy, whatever. I can't remember what he was in that movie, a writer or something. Anyway,
Nicolas Cage. He's the guy who's going to be buried in a pyramid. No joke. He bought a pyramid.
Yeah. No, I think he had to sell it though.
Oh.
Yeah, there's he had to sell some of it because he went bankrupt. He had to sell a number of his castles.
His T-Rex skull, his Superman #1.
Oh wow!
Oh dear, my heart bleeds for him.
Yeah.
T-Rex skulls and pyramids.
Talk about rich people problems.
For him.
Yeah,
Superman
but he may still have the pyramid in New Orleans, but I actually saw it. I actually saw Nicolas Cage's future, or at least at the time,
the future resting place of
Nicolas Cage that he bought, and it's this amazing pyramid. It's oh man, I need stupid money that to do.
Did he have a
stupid
gold
stuff like
casket to go? Did he have a gold casket to go in there too? Has he purchased that yet? Yeah.
More like a gilded cage.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That was the best I could do in such a
It was still good. It was good.
That's great. That's brilliant.
You really got me with that one.
Yeah. No, that was phenomenal.
Nice.
I work with what I got.
Which isn't much, but
according to Indy, we're both wrong. Valley Girl is his breakout role. Fair enough. Yeah.
Okay.
Deb Foreman
I
was in that,
remember
wasn't she?
I don't know.
I think Deb Foreman and who was the one? She, of all things, she did the voice of Babe. She played Baby Doll in I'm sorry, my mind is locking up.
Should need one of those little turny things like on Windows when it's thinking,
Oh yeah, she was in that movie as well.
Something got stuck in the gears.
Indy, why have you forsaken me? I don't know how you've answered my question by now.
He's typing, man. He can only go so fast.
It's lag. There's too much internet lag. It's just taking a minute.
Okay, so Harold, you have my promise. I will watch Renfield before this October is over.
I will too, sooner or later.
Yes,
Yeah,
I will
you and your
attempt to.
son, I think, like, I'm not sure, like, your wife's
No, she would hate
like
it.
taste.
Like I know that
Okay.
right off the bat. Yeah.
Gotcha. Yeah. So you and your son, though, I think would love it. I think you guys would definitely bond over it, and there are some really good laughs, and so I think you and your son would enjoy it.
Indy was asleep at the wheel, Thrash.
Who was the insanely hot blonde that did the voice of Babe the Pig?
Okay, while we wait,
Well,
Tracy, it's your turn. You got anything
Okay.
else?
Yeah, I do. I like my favorite character in these vampire
Christine
movies
Cavanaugh.
is always the guys who play Van Helsing. I mean, they take themselves so seriously, especially in the 30s, and yet they have like this music in the background that sounds more like of a dance, like a waltz music in the
Oh yeah.
background. I mean, it's so convincing.
I really liked Anthony Hopkins in Bram Stoker's Dracula again.
Yeah.
Where like halfway through the movie he just like cracks. I don't know exactly what happens. He just seems really drunk. He starts like dancing with people and going, ha ha ha, Dracula. And it's just what happened to Anthony Hopkins?
Your beloved Lucy is the devil's concubine, boy.
Right.
I think he just realized how bad the movie was, so he decided to go off the rails.
He just
Yeah.
Oh,
I don't think it's
Sorry,
a
I'm
bad movie.
kidding.
I like it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I like Bram
But it
Stoker's
is
I
Francis
love
Ford
it.
Coppola. It's got all of his excesses in it. I can see why you wouldn't.
I mean, Gary Oldman as Dracula. Come on.
He's great.
He's
Oh,
great.
But he is
wonderful.
offset by Keanu Reeves as
Well, yeah.
The other reason's trying. He was really
but
trying.
that's just like
It was-
really bad casting.
Yeah,
He was
really.
popular at the time. They were trying to get people into the theaters. That's
What's
what
that
they were
other
doing.
movie he's in? Dangerous Liaisons, where Keanu Reeves is like the like foppish, like innocent lover kid who's just like trying to sing la 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 la, and it's so cringe.
Every time I see Keanu Reeves, I always just think,
Whoa.
Well, but so Keanu Reeves is a very like emotionally reserved actor, right? That's who he's
Well,
really
he's a stoic
best,
actor. Like he's always going for stoicism.
right. Exactly, right?
Like in Bill
And
and Ted's.
but
Well, that's different.
right. But
Exception every rule,
But-
Trash.
when you look at Victorian England, like it very much is stoicism. So to me, I actually as much as
he can't do a British accent. And
no. That I agree. That I don't disagree with. I think I think the accent is like needed a lot of work. But like excluding that part, right? Being like his acting of the character though, excluding the lack of a British accent, to me actually fits Victorian, the Victorian era reserved, because again, that was a very prudish era. Like Queen Victoria was incredibly, like, it was very restrictive back then, socially.
We are
restrictive.
not amused.
Which is kind of what
Right,
Dracula was
right.
all about. It was about like breaking through that. I mean, that's kind
Exactly.
of the
right?
novel. That's kind of the point of it.
and so, again, it just goes to this kind of concept. But like, and again, I like to me, I love that the book and the story so much, because like, why is it that women are supposed to keep virtue and men, it's not an issue?
Depending on what woman.
Well, but no. Like it's societally, it's always the virtue
Yeah, I
is
know.
always put on women rather than men, right? Men have a double standard. Do you understand where that comes from?
Mad Men, English woman, or Mad
From-
Englishmen.
No, it comes from the older concept that's continued on, that women are property, not people.
Right.
Well,
And when you deflower them, their value decreases. And so men are not property. Men are their own independent person. So like, we say that we want them to be virtuous, but then we'll also say boys will be boys, right? And so with women, they were property. Like, because again, women couldn't have a bank account until the 1970s. They couldn't have a credit card on their own until the 1970s. They always had to have a man sign off on it, right? So they were property. They weren't people, right? Even up until, and again, like, and so the whole virtue aspect is all about, you're ruining the family's property, right? And in fact, when you did that in ancient law, it wasn't an SA law. It was viewed as property damage. And so legally, you were compensated based on the value of the property that was damaged. So the woman's uterus was actually like property, like the woman's genitalia were property of the family. So when you deflowered that, you took away their wealth, right? Or their ability to move up in social status, right? And so that, when you look at this movie, it's Lucy becomes, what was the line, Damien?
The devil's concubine.
The devil's concubine.
Right?
This is Lucy, the character, is all about.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because
Right.
back in those days, women were pretty much considered cattle. I mean,
Well, but
Yeah.
let's not say back in those days. There's still there's lingering effects of that, right? Because again, it's women are not like, there's a lot of different ways that we don't see women as their own individuals, right? And
Well,
that
it all started with lineage. In classical society, where there were no paternity tests, you always knew who the mother was.
Right.
But unless you could sequester the female, there was always a question of who the father was. And so it all started from that, and just sort of like went downhill from there. Was the guy Gonick, I believe it was, who when he first mentions, like, when lineage became an important thing in society, he goes, that crashing sound you hear is women's place in society. It really made them it became socially unacceptable for them to actually mingle with other people unless their husband was there.
Yeah, and if you look at the character of Lucy from the novel, and a little bit, you even see this in the Bram Stoker version, the Francis Ford Coppola version. She has multiple suitors, and the scandal is that she's supposed to choose a husband, and she doesn't really want to. She doesn't see why she has to. And ultimately, what she decides to do with her own free choice is to go with Dracula. Like, that is the horror of her character in the book, in the novel, is that because she is so restricted by her societal norms, she chooses something outside of that. She like literally chooses it. You don't really see it in the movie as much as in the novel. Like, she makes the conscious decision to be with Dracula. She's not being seduced by Dracula. It's nothing like that. It's just, that's what she wants, because she wants to have that kind of freedom to do what she wants to do and not be burdened by societal pressures and all that.
And if we permitted women the ability to make the choice, they're going to choose evil, right?
Well, yeah, that's subtext.
They're going to right. They're going to choose those. So we can't allow women to have independent choice, because if they do, they'll choose evil, right?
How else are we going to get married? I mean, come on,
right?
We have to.
Because again, but this is again, like, if we talk about it nowadays, and I'm not trying to get too much, but again, this is how it plays out, right? This is why I love, like, vampire movies and things like that, because we often say who got us kicked out of Eden. We put that burden on Eve because she's the one that ate ate the apple and whatever. But what often gets overlooked is who's standing right next to her talking to the snake. Adam. They both were there. They both did it. But we put the burden. But we've historically put the burden on the woman.
Scott. I mean, that's just the way that is.
Right.
We like our bad boys.
Right. Both chose knowledge. Right. And the other tree that was in there was the tree of immortality that would make them make Adam and Eve a god. Right. And so again, and so it's like this whole big putting this burden on women that the vampirism. And the stories of vampirism really, really play on. And Bram Stoker's Dracula hits home so much is that women aren't trustworthy and so can't be independent. It just kind of plays into that. And so.
Also, I was recently talking in our private chat about Monica Bellucci. She's one of Dracula's wives in Bram Stoker's Dracula. I think that started my my feelings for Monica Bellucci. Anyway, no, I mean that's well said, and I just we should move on.
Yep. Nope. Yep. Next person. Yep.
Damien.
I thought it was Tracy's turn. Or wait, did she?
No, she
Tracy
said Bram Stoker.
I went already.
Oh,
You go.
I'm sorry.
Doesn't kick the whole thing off.
You go.
Gotcha. Okay. I am gonna go with Quentin Tarantino does a vampire film from Dusk Till Dawn, because you can't have a discussion of vampire movies without throwing that in there somewhere, but yeah, it's just it's lots of great actors. Got George Clooney, Quentin Tarantino, Selma Hayek, Danny, is it Trejo or
Trejo? Yeah,
Danny Trejo. Yep.
Yeah. Harvey Keitel, the whole Tarantino group, basically, Juliette Lewis is in there.
There's
and
really
even
only
Cheech is in there.
in my personal opinion, there's only two reasons to watch From Dusk Till Dawn, and that's Selma Hayek.
That is, yes, for sure. Those are the two reasons to watch that movie. But it's just to me, it's just like that. It's a Tarantino vampire film would be the best. It's very gory. It's kind of stupid. It's got some good quotable lines in it. Not a whole lot of plot, but lots of blood and fighting, and there is a whole
Tarantino drink some tequila.
Yeah, really. Yeah, off her toe. And he plays a completely despicable person in that movie.
Not a stretch for him.
Yeah.
But a particularly despicable and perverted person.
Yes, exactly.
Particularly.
Yeah. Not a good person at all, by any definition. So,
and the scenes where he's around Juliette Lewis are beyond cringeworthy. It's actually, you want to kind of reach into the screen and say, "Get away from her, you." It's a really intense subplot when you're watching a movie about vampires and one of the human characters is more disgusting. I mean, that really lands.
Yeah, for sure.
Good point.
Yeah. And I mean, I actually kind of cheered when he got killed. So,
Spoiler alert.
Take him down.
I know, right?
But it's a fun movie. I like it. The build up to it's kind of cool. The family on the vacation, the fallen, the preacher that's lost his faith, and kind of thing, and they get kidnapped by bank robbers, or I guess it was a bank they robbed, and one of them happens to be the most despicable person on the planet, and they come across they go to a bar that turns out to be like the worst place in the world, that's built on a Mayan pyramid or Aztec pyramid, one of the two. Yeah. Which apparently is where I guess the vampires came from, maybe, or it's hinted at that at least. But anyway, not the best movie in the world, but it's a fun movie, and of course, if you like a Quentin Tarantino film and all of the gore and horror that comes with that, so
it's like a horror action comedy
Yep.
road film
Yeah.
that all kind of come
Exactly.
together.
Yeah.
And the fact that I froze again, didn't I?
You almost have a
That's
slight
all right,
look
brother.
of like, quiet disgust
Almost to the
there.
end.
So.
Yeah.
We almost made it, but yeah, I mean, it just the whole movie comes together, and it could have failed at so many points, and it doesn't. It actually, right down to the last scene. I mean, it's riveting, and you're there, and you're with the characters. And one of my particular favorite scenes is when the humans, of course, band together and try to survive till dawn, because that's always the end game. If you're still alive when the sun comes up, as opposed to Night of the Living Dead, that's another story. But the black dude is a Vietnam veteran, and he goes to tell one of his stories about the war, and they just cut, and then they go off to do something else, so you can see him talking, but you can't hear him, and it's Robert Rodriguez's way of saying, yeah, I know, we've seen this before 1,000 times. He says something about a bad experience he had in Vietnam, and everyone kind of moves forward. I love the fact that he references that trope, but ends up making light of it. And if you can make light of the Vietnam War and pull it off, that's a feather in the cap. I got to give it to you. So,
That's a good point.
I love the movie.
That's a good point.
Thanks.
I also love the guy in the movie that plays Sex Machine. He's got that little little gun that pops out of his codpiece.
That's
Oh,
Tom
boy.
Savini, isn't it?
Huh?
I believe that's Tom Savini.
Yeah, it is. It's Tom Savini. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, that's just a funny scene. There's always stuff like that in these types of movies where it's just like,
I'm getting the vapors.
And thank you, Fred Williamson. I had forgotten his name, but thank you.
Who plays
I don't
Frost.
have a lot to say about From Dusk Till Dawn because, like, I'm just not the biggest Quentin Tarantino fan in the world. But I did like it because it kind of follows that Psycho model where the first like half an hour of the movie is a completely different movie, essentially.
Yeah.
And then it suddenly turns into a vampire movie just out of the blue.
Two movies melded together at a certain point.
I do
Terror.
like that, and I do appreciate that. And I don't think it's a bad movie by any stretch. It's just the Quentin Tarantino stuff gets to me after a while.
No, that's definitely Tarantino style.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
I'm the
reminds me of a
opposite.
short story I read years ago. I can't think of the name of it, but it's a family going on a family vacation, and they're having a hideous time, and the car breaks down, and they're attacked by 3 escaped criminals, and it's just that incredible shift of story that that I just thought it worked very well. I couldn't agree with you more.
I'm the opposite. I like Tarantino and I like his movies. This one I really like. I enjoyed it when I as an adolescent. Like later on, I mean, I not so much. But for what it is, it is a good movie.
Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I knew we had to talk about it. I knew it was going to come up.
It was going to come up.
yeah.
Did we
talk
though?
about
Did we
vampire
like
movies without-
really?
The one thing is, I
Of
wanted
the
to bring
list,
this up.
did
Indy
we have
also
to?
brings it up. It's not actually directed by Quentin Tarantino. He wrote it and he's in it.
Yeah,
but he didn't direct
yeah,
it. It's a
he's-
Robert
he didn't.
Rodriguez
Right.
movie.
Yeah, he didn't direct it. He didn't produce it, or he was probably one of the producers down there somewhere. But yeah, he did help write it. So, and he's one of the starring roles. So I consider it a
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino.
It
movie.
basically is a Quentin Tarantino. It feels more like a Quentin Tarantino movie than a Robert Rodriguez movie.
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
I love Robert Rodriguez.
I think I would like it. I think I would have liked it better if it was a Rodriguez movie.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Replace him with
like-
Antonio Banderas. Yeah, let's go for that.
Yeah, hey, yeah, there you go.
Yeah. No, dude, Antonio Banderas and George Clooney in that movie. I think would
that'd
have
be kick ass.
that would have been and
Antonio
just have it
Banderas.
be a Rodriguez movie instead of because I agree with you. You're right. Like Tarantino didn't direct it, but it feels
he
too
kind of
much
dominated it.
Yeah, it feels too much like a Tarantino. And I think this was not his first, but one of his Rodriguez's early films before he really made a name for himself, right?
This was after El Mariachi, which is like his big movie. Yeah.
Right, but I don't like I know it. Yeah, I know it's not his first, but I still think it was at that time where he had
first like Hollywood movie. I think this is the first.
Right, and he hadn't really made a name, so I think that allowed Tarantino to just overpower it too much. And I think
they were friends and still are friends. Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. Yeah, they're buds.
Yeah, I do think that if it was a Rodriguez film, it would have been much, much better.
Thrash can't handle the freezing anymore. He keeps popping up, popping back in. We've made him too self-conscious.
I don't think Antonio Banderas could have played the role that Quentin Tarantino played in that movie. Though. So, like you brought up the point of having,
but it would have been a different movie.
It would have been a different movie, and
he wouldn't have had the psychopathic pedophile in there. I mean,
but I don't know, man. Antonio Banderas can play anything. He played an Arab in that one movie, and he played like a 13-year-old looking redheaded Frenchman in Interview with a Vampire.
But he would have come across as too smooth to be, the person that Tarantino was playing in that movie, which is sweaty,
he couldn't have been that kind of a scumbag.
Yeah,
slimy,
sweaty
I think
scumbag.
No. Yeah, he couldn't been Tarantino's level of scumbag just because Tarantino is a little bit.
Scumbag.
Antonio Banderas has that voice. He's just
Yeah,
you can't get around it. So.
But Banderas has played many roles.
Yeah, Banderas definitely could have been a creepy guy. Yeah, he definitely could have been a creepy guy. But also, it would have made
it yes, Puss in Boots, yes.
But again, I think that's what Tug and I are saying is that if Rodriguez and Banderas were in the movie, it would have been a different movie and a better movie.
I don't want to.
I think that was kind of our argument.
I don't want to sit here
the movie that
it
is.
It is a fun movie.
Yeah.
I can see why people really like it, especially people who were teenagers when we were teenagers.
Yeah.
I get it, and it's not just for the violence and sex and gore and all that. It's a fun movie. It's fine. I just have personal hang-ups
Everything's
with
fine.
Tarantino.
I don't know. I feel that it's a fine movie to watch once, but I don't feel like it's one that you can that you can.
There's not a lot of depth to it. Let's put it that way.
Right? Yeah. It's there are a lot. There are many other.
I rewatched it specifically for this, and that's probably the second time I've ever seen it. So let's talk about it. I haven't seen that in a while.
If you're gonna watch a vampire movie, there are plenty other during spooky time. Plenty other.
I know.
Or at least for me, I feel like there's a lot of other.
I wanted to bring up Bram Stoker's, but I figured number one, somebody else would bring it up, and two, I brought it up before.
We're kind of talking
discussions,
about it interspersed.
Yeah, I know. But I've talked about it before when we were talking about what was it, horror movies back in January or February.
Yeah, it's come up on this show before.
Yeah. So I figured give it up to somebody else. But
we do have a number of themes that we keep revisiting. I've noticed.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, what's your favorite Body Snatchers movie?
Wait, have we done zombie movies yet?
What movies?
Shaun of the Dead.
So, do we want to?
On that note, let's give Thrash his turn.
Yep.
Thank you. This isn't actually a zombie movie. It's a zombie vignette in an anthology, but it's one of my favorites. Starring Boris Karloff. It's the Verbalak segment of Black Sabbath. And I love this movie. It's set in Eastern Europe, and apparently Verbalaks were a thing. They were a strain of vampire. They only prey on those they love, which the allegory writes itself. And in typical vampire fashion, remember as you were talking about Adam and Eve before, Harold, one of the brilliant connections that I was formulating even at the time was it all goes back to you had one rule. You had one rule and you broke it. Whether it's the apple from the Garden of Eden or it's how not to get killed by a vampire. We all know the playbook, and for some reason people always break it. The premise is he tells his sons, if I'm not back in 3 days, do not let me in. I'm a vampire. He comes back in 4 days, and what do? They, of course, they let him in, and hilarity ensues. But the one that the scene that really gets me is Boris. I don't know if you guys have all seen it, but spoiler alert: Boris. The first one he feeds on is his own grandson. The son, and of course, vampires can take other forms. He tries to get back in the house, the vampire, by taking the form of his grandson. He goes, "Mommy, let me in. I'm cold. I'm cold. Mommy, let me in." And what does the mother do? And her husband's like, "Hun, our son's dead, right? That's
Yeah.
But she goes back in case she goes, "No, he's alive and he's cold." And I'm like, "Have you not read The Monkey's Paw?" So it's a theme. First of all, Boris Karloff just chews the scenery, pun intended. He actually, I think it's the only time he ever played a vampire, but he's staggering at it. But additionally, I just found the whole thing. It's just like an amazing story.
Like and that "Mommy, I'm cold" has has been used a number of times in other movies, and even in Basketball Diaries, where Leonardo DiCaprio is like asking his mom for money because he's in trouble, and he's like begging, and she what's her name that played the therapist in Sopranos, like she's his mom, and she has to tell him like no and all this and set boundaries, and like that stuff never affected me as much until because obviously I'm older, but like having kids, that pain, I so get it now, right? And it is just agonizing, and to lose your child, right? And you look at a lot of people that when they lose their child, like their rooms become altars, right? Because they can't let go of that grief. That to me, like of all the griefs that you can experience, that is the grief that is the hardest and the most painful and the most traumatic, and like losing a child, because it breaks so many concepts, right, in our minds, and the way that we define society, and what shoulds, right, all those shoulds that we have when it comes to life, that children should outlive us, or we should, like the line, our children should bury us, not the other way around, right? And like to hear that, and then also like with the vampirism, being cold, that cold being associated with darkness and evil and all this different stuff, like the multiple layers that plays on. Like I haven't seen this, but like the way that you talk about it, like it's free on Tubi. Like that one I'm absolutely watching. I've got it like tabbed up and everything. I'm ready to watch that one. Like that one I'm definitely watching. It's 90% on Rotten Tomatoes. Man, that is a powerful thing, man. That's great.
Like I'm not a parent, but I mean, like, long story short is that's a parent's worst nightmare.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely. Like,
It's
it's harrowing.
My heart would just break too, just by knowing the parent and knowing the kid. It just it's haunting for even those of us who don't have any.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got sidetracked looking up to see if Boris Karloff had ever played a vampire, other than in this movie.
I would be willing to bet money that this is the only time he played a vampire.
I haven't come up with anything, so yeah.
I believe, yeah. But he's amazing at it. And again, the story, because it's a duality story, like most vampire movies are. It's about the curse of this demon, but it's about our emotional attachments and how the heart can rule the head. And the scene in Return of the Living Dead, where the girl's going basket case because you hurt Freddy, you hurt Freddy, you hurt Freddy, and of all people, the voice of reason is the former Nazi, and he slaps her across the face and he goes, "That's not Freddy."
Right.
Like he gets it, he realizes it, but the kids still have emotional attachments to their friends.
I just didn't expect us to be discussing a Mario Bava movie today.
Huge Baba fan, as I'm sure you know.
Oh yeah.
Did any of you guys see when I went on that Fat Samurai guy, and we were I was championing. Everyone else liked the something more modern. I can't remember what it was, but I was championing Mario Bava.
I saw part of that. Yeah. Yep, Indy agrees. We don't think that Boris Karloff ever played a vampire in anything else. You got the Indy approval. I guess you're right.
Yeah. Good enough for me.
Okay, so we have already gone long. We're over an hour and a half. So I think we should end it here. I'm fine with only getting one choice this week.
Oh,
poor guy.
But I think we're going to keep doing this because there's at least 3 big ones I really want to talk about. So we got to do at least one more of these. Yes. Speaking White Zombie, Black Sabbath. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, blah blah. Stick around on my channel, The Unapologetic Geek on YouTube, where you probably are right now, but maybe you're on Harold's Twitch. I don't know. I will be dropping a review of The Howling, the Joe Dante werewolf movie. And yeah, other than that, yeah, just come back next week for more vampire talk. Harold, what have you got going on? Let me get rid of that.
So if you go to my Discord page, I've got I'll be posting under schedule, like all of my schedule, but Monday I'm going to be streaming the game Vampire in the daytime. Tuesdays and Saturdays, Tug and I fight Tug, myself, my wife, and sometimes Raw and Unprepared. We fight zombies in the apocalypse. Thursdays and Fridays, I do Baldur's Gate 3. Fridays, usually I've been doing, lately I've been doing family streams with my kids. So those are the things. But if you check my schedule during the daytime, my schedule on my Discord, like I post like when I'm going to be streaming in the daytime. So check that out.
Cool. Tracy, you have anything going?
I actually got a motor, guys.
Okay.
So I hate to cut you off. But,
No, we went long, so it's
Bye,
fine.
Thrash.
Go
Hi,
ahead.
Thrash.
Thrash,
Good night. I'll see you
Thrash at
tonight.
7:30, 4:30 today. Watch Thrash's show 7:30 to 4:30 today
Thank
on
you
his
very
channel,
much, Harold.
Thrash Pondo Ponds.
Peace.
Bye-bye,
Thank you.
Thrash.
Tracy, you got anything going on?
Yeah, I'm working on something for Halloween, so hopefully it'll be an interesting thing. Of course, it's old timey stuff, but what can I say? I like that stuff.
It is
I live for vintage.
It is the best time of year for YouTube. So yeah.
Yeah.
And
Everybody
I'm
loves
putting up
Halloween.
Halloween decorations today, finally. Yay.
Yeah, I got to do that after
Nice.
this. Like,
The cemetery must be erected in the front yard.
I had 2 things on my to-do list today. One was mow the lawn, and now fill the lawn with Halloween decorations. So
Yes.
yeah. Okay. Well, until next week, never be ashamed of what you love, as long as you're not a blood-sucking vampire.
Nice.
Thank you and good night.